Good morning and welcome to the show. Today we're talking about building wealth.
Wealth Building 101. Today's Wealth Building Wednesdays. Congratulations for making it here. So, shall we get this party started?
Well, yesterday we explained how I sprinted to the bathroom with 1 minute. And today you sprinted to the bathroom with 1 minute. Guys, 2 days in a row, 6:30 on the dot. And also, you are here on the dot. So thank you. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to begin today with a question. Who knows what is Warren Buffett's first rule of investing?
Don't lose money. Oh,
Never lose money.
I think, were you waiting for them to answer?
No, it's all good. Never lose money. So, in order to build wealth, you have to invest. And you have to, there's a lot that goes into investing. Like you have to find what is your optimal investing vehicle. You start there. You have a plan with regards to how you're going to invest, how much, where you're going to start, short-term plan, benchmarks, long-term plans. But today we're going to be talking about everything that will lead to that, especially because, due to previous episodes, let's face it, it seems as if, like, as a community,
We've determined
that you guys are definitely
We're
not even close to being there yet. And the goal is to get you there, but you have to understand how you get there.
some people are already in the investing game,
Yeah.
but most people in general are not. And most people forever will not be. But our goal is to not let that be you.
Yes. Our goal is to help you get there. And once you get there, then our goal will be to help you champion that.
This is the show you watch and the crowd that you hang out with to not be average.
Yeah.
Because there is nothing average about this.
So last week we talked about the concept of what is cash flow. And we gave you guys an exercise to determine where you at by the end of the month by looking at your bank and credit card statements. So when it comes to cash flow, remember, what is cash flow? Cash flow is income minus expenses. By the end of the month, after all of the money that you've received, whether it's one income source that you have, and by the way, you guys should have more than one. You want to build a pipeline. One is not enough, because when that pipeline gets cut off, guess what? There's no income coming in.
How many people did that happen to just very recently this year?
That's why a lot of people are suffering due to whatever happened this year, because they have one source of income. When that shit gets chopped off, there's no inflow. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be an outflow in the 21st century. If you live in a house, then then you have commitments to at least 4 bills. So you got to have an income, right? But by the end of the month, where are you at? Are you cash flow positive or are you cash flow negative? Cash flow positive means that by the end of the month, what you're receiving, that inflow, is greater than the outflow. So you have some money left. Now, cash flow negative means,
as we call it, neggy.
Cash flow neggy means that by the end of the month, your expenses are greater than your income.
Don't be neggy.
So you have to get yourself to a point where you're cash flow positive. Because guess what? If you're not cash flow positive, how are you going to be able to build up savings?
To invest
You
in
have
anything.
Right. So you have to be cash flow positive. You have to start building up savings. You have to have a plan. So for one, I want to ask you guys a question. After last week's exercise, and let's get vulnerable for a second, because the purpose here is to help you get better at life and not to just like, you know, keep a, what is it, poker face and pretend as if all is good. We have to face our problems in order to overcome them.
All can still be good with problems.
Right. So by the end of the month currently, knowing what you've got going on, are you cash flow positive, negative, or neutral? Means that by the end of the month, you end up netting zero on average. If you can just drop a comment and say positive, negative, or neutral, where are you at? If you didn't do this exercise, then I guarantee you that you're not going to be building wealth because you're too lazy and you're not disciplined. If you're not disciplined to know what's going in and what's coming out, you're not going to be able to build a plan. You're not going to be able to stick to the plan because you need accountability, just like with weight loss.
Maybe they're not, what did you say? If you didn't do that exercise, you're what?
You're not disciplined enough.
No, you said something. You defined them as something.
You're not going to be able to build wealth.
Oh, you're not going to be able to build wealth. There was something else that you said. Or you just haven't watched the espresso episode on... What did we talk about? Oh, gosh. Oh, treating your money like you treat your lover.
Mm-hmm.
Or you just haven't watched that episode, which means that you're unaware of the relationship required with money, the relationship that is required that you have with money in order to even think about building wealth.
Mm-hmm. So, neutral-ish, what does that mean, Monica?
Probably different on any given month.
So, if you guys want to build wealth, then drop a comment and say in it, show me the money. Show me the money!
Several positives and neutral, actually, which is amazing.
Thank you for commenting, by the way. So some positive, some neutral, some negative, some are in deep negative. Hey, that's okay. Michelle, I'm glad that
I've been there.
I'm glad that you're listening to this.
I've been there.
By the way, you guys, being overweight is being metabolically negative.
I want to say something too about money. People get really weird about money, but what I want to say with you guys here right now is like, people get weird about money because people get defined by how much they have or don't have. And how much you have in your bank account is not equal to your self-worth.
No.
And so I want to just be 100% honest here in saying we're gonna talk about money. We're gonna be honest about money. We'll share numbers with you. We don't want anybody to be afraid to share numbers. People get weird when you ask them how much they make. I'm not trying to judge you. I'm trying to help you.
And we're not trying to take your money.
Yeah, or I'm trying to take people's money who I'm serving.
Right.
But it's deserved. Right now. It's deserved, true. But what I'm saying is don't be afraid to talk about money. It just is. It's neutral until you put an energy to it. So think about money, like talking about money is a good thing. If you don't talk about your relationship, you're going to have a shitty relationship. Yep. It's communication about your financial situation. And I was scared to talk about my financial situation, and I just kind of swept it under the rug and pretended like like I wasn't so ridiculously negative because I was embarrassed. But had I talked to somebody about it, I probably could have found a way out faster. And the only reason I think that I stayed stuck for so long is because nobody knew. Nobody can help you when nobody knows.
And also, another problem is that a lot of people are actually not qualified to help.
With that too is like any reason if we share numbers that we have is only to display, I guess, qualification to a degree, or to inspire, to be honest. Because I sometimes ask people who I know make a shit ton more than we do. And I say, how much did you make this month? How much did you make this year? And one dude was like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, why? Money is money. Like, just numbers. They're numbers. I was like, why? Like, it's inspiring. I'm not trying to ask you so I can compare myself or judge or any of that. But I know you make more than I do. And I just want to be inspired. Tell me the number. Because I want to know what's possible.
Yep.
So anyways, that's completely a side note. Don't be afraid to talk about money. Show me the money. Show me the money.
I also believe that people are scared to talk about money. Normally the ones who are scared to talk about money. For one, money is like a social taboo, which is so frustrating. And we can see that it's a social taboo because if you look at how many viewers we have on wealth days versus any other day, it's literally like almost half the amount. I'm like, dude, it's because you're scared to face your problems.
People get really weird about money.
People get so weird about it. Like, this will be the most transformational, like, days out of our entire, like, weekly series, in my opinion.
They're all different.
Right.
In their own way. But honestly, people get weird about money in the same way people get weird about selling. You guys, just by showing up, we're selling you. We're selling you on listening to us. That doesn't mean we're shady, oily, greasy, snaky, trickery kind of salespeople. Yes, they exist, but I think that's also why there's a negative perception of salespeople.
Lack of training.
If you haven't, you can read Grant Cardone's Sell or Be Sold. Every single day, every single moment, you are selling something or you are being sold on something. So sales and money are very closely related. And you want to go on a date with somebody, you have to sell yourself to them. You have to sell them on why you are worth going out on a date with. Otherwise, they have sold you on why you're not worth going out on a date with them. Every single thing is selling. And you're either selling it or you're being sold something. It doesn't have to be money related or money exchange. But, you know, I think it's good to bring up the topic of sales in regards also to the weirdness of the topic of money. Because it's not weird. It just is what it is. And no matter what, if you want a fulfilling life, you have to sell something.
Yep.
And you have to talk about money and the conversation has to come up and you have to look at numbers and you have to talk about numbers in order to make them go. Money is a game. Selling is a game and selling is serving.
And if you want to win the game, you got to play the game. But, you know, two reasons, in my opinion, why money is taboo. For one, money is taboo because most people are just not used to talking about it. And then secondly, again, going back to stats, like 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
76%.
And that's pre-COVID days. So, and this is in the wealthiest country in the world. Like, think about it. So knowing that, most people's financial situation, let's face it, sucks. What happens if, God forbid, you have a freak accident? You now have no money.
We had a freak accident 2 days
on Monday.
ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago, freak accident. Sergeant bit a dog and that dog had to go to the hospital and we had to pay for it. It was like $450.
Yeah.
How many of you could pull out $450 and still be okay with it and not stress about like, oh my God, like, you know, that was all my money.
If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And we tell you that with regards to nutrition all the time. If you don't prep your meals in advance, you're going to end up eating shitty. You're going to end up treating your body like shit. You're going to be more likely to make poor food decisions. Hey, money is life. If you don't plan in advance and a freak accident, God forbid, happens, we don't wish that on any of you guys, by the way, but terrible things happen to good people. Just like our very dear friend, like her dog got bitten by Sergeant because
Luckily,
Sergeant ended up playing too hard.
Luckily, it was somebody that we knew.
Yeah.
But
So I think that's why, because people are in a shitty situation, and it's like, if you think about it, normally, like it's the ones who need the most help that are just like so resistant. Because
but that's why they need more help too.
Right.
It's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But anyways, you know, the reason that we want to talk about it is to help you guys. Like, if you are in that situation, we're not here to bash on it. I've been there. I was there for years and years, and it was so freaking stressful. But we're here now to say, hey, how do we overcome this?
Mm-hmm. So, rule number 1, cash flow positive.
There goes Erin's new underwear money. I'm choosing not to buy new underwear because I don't care. Underwear is overrated.
Yeah. She really doesn't care.
I really don't care.
Okay, so rule number 1, you have to be cash flow positive. Now, with regards to where do I go from here once I'm cash flow positive, you need to have a purpose. Like, you need to have a big picture life purpose. Like, what are you looking to achieve out of your life? You need to start by asking yourself that question. You need to be very specific with regards to that, because once you're specific with regards to that, then you can make a plan. If you're like, you know, I wanna be able to, you know, live 6 months out of the year in Sweden and 6 months out of the year in the United States, and I want to have a bunch of houses and, you know, just, you know, live on my own terms, then guess what? You're probably going to need to have like 6 figures worth of passive income. And then it's a matter of, okay, how do we build a plan in order to help you get there? What will you have to do in order to get there? If you're like, you know what, I just want to feel safe and secure, then we ask, okay, what does that look like? Knowing your monthly bills, what does that add up to every single month? If you're like, it adds up to $3,000. Okay, then maybe you need something along the lines of $5,000 of passive income every single month. Because again, you never want to just have enough for it. That will never make you feel safe and secure, because freak accidents happen. So then it's like, okay, what do we need to do in order to help you get there? Now, I think the problem with I think a big reason why people struggle with money is because they were either not educated or they were undereducated. So they don't know anything, and they end up falling into bad habits. Right? So like, think about it like with regards to nutrition. Like, if you don't know that, let's use an example, that, let's say crispy chicken is fried and you're trying to lose weight, and you have crispy chicken for lunch every single day, you're going to end up gaining weight.
You have the right intention, but
if you're undereducated, then it doesn't matter like how intentional you may be. If your approach is not aligned with your intention, then you're going to be misaligned and your results are going to be negative.
Naggy.
Yeah. So people are either undereducated, or people were just never challenged to think, what do I want out of my life? And when I say what do I want out of my life, I don't think I'm not thinking like in terms of by the end of this year or even next year. Like, I want you to think way into the future.
It's hard for some people.
Yeah, because if you were not taught how to think 3 months in advance, and now I'm asking you to think 50 years in advance or 30 years in advance, then you're too overwhelmed.
Yeah. I think that a good exercise to do, just to get on the right page with where am I at now and where do I need to be for certain checkpoints, like starting with, we had somebody do this exercise the other day too, where you write down all of your necessary expenses. Don't confuse things you want with things that are necessary. And you write down what all those necessary things are. Okay? Your rent, your phone bill, your food, the electricity, the water, whatever. Write it all down. How much are those every single month? And how much money do you need on like a bottom line? Like how much money do you need to survive? Just to survive. Nothing extra. No eating out, no pair of shoes, no gym membership, no Netflix, none of that. Just to survive. Okay? So, if that's your bottom line, then what other things do you desire? So you have that number. And then what are the things that you would want to have more immediately? And how much do those things cost? And are you surviving well? Are you able to have these things well? And what are the things that you dream of? What are the things that you dream of? You want to own a fucking yacht? For $4 million? I don't know how much yachts cost.
I think it depends on the yacht. I think one time we saw a
one.
video of like a $50 million one.
Oh yeah, that's true. But anyways, so where are these checkpoints? And then figure out what money you can take from a wants kind of list and put it aside, or pay off debt with it.
So you gotta be cash flow positive in order to build wealth for the most part. And I'll tell you in just 1 second why I'm saying for the most part. And you gotta have a vision, because if you don't have a vision, you won't have a purpose. And if you don't have that, then why the heck are you gonna stay disciplined? Nobody's gonna choose the less immediate reward if they don't have a bigger plan. That's just how our brain works. It was like this psychological study that they did with kids. It's like, if you're gonna eat the cookie or the marshmallow or whatever right now, then
you won't get one later. It's delayed gratification.
Yeah.
Like, put a cookie in front of a kid and say, hey, if you wait for 5 minutes, I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna come back in 5 minutes. If the cookie's still here, you're gonna get 2. But if the cookie's not here, then you ate the cookie.
Building wealth is a game of delayed gratification. Unless you were born into a generational wealthy family, and by the time that you're like 18 years old, you already have a portfolio that's worth however many $1 million. Then you've got passive income coming in without even before you even wake up, like every single day. And guess what? For the rest of us, we got to work our asses off for years and decades in order to build that. But just because it requires hard work and consistency and discipline doesn't mean that it's impossible. And I believe that because we live in this very soft society, when people hear the term hard work, they're like already disconnected. They're turned off by it.
That sounds hard.
So you gotta have a plan. Once you have a plan, then you have to figure out what investment vehicle would be ideal. And if you know us by now, we always preach sustainability. However, by the end of the day, this is your life, your choices. Whether you want to invest in stocks, that's up to you.
And your preference, because also it depends on what game you know the best and what game you're most passionate about. Mm-hmm. There are multiple ways to invest. You could invest in companies, you could invest in real estate, you could invest in stocks, you could invest, which is companies, but I guess I mean startups. There's so many things, but what game do you know how to play the best to manage the risk most efficiently?
Amen.
Because Warren Buffett had incredible success in stocks. But if you don't know how to play the game, you won't. You will lose.
Yeah.
So it's about first of all, what am I passionate about? Second of all, do I know how to play the game well enough to be successful at it and manage the risk so that I can kind of predict where the risks are and be able to cover my ass
Yeah.
if shit goes sideways.
Yeah, yeah. So identifying a purpose with regards to what is my long-term game plan will build a standard. Guess what? By the end of the day, this is our life and we make choices. And if you live in the United States and in Canada, you're extremely lucky because you can dictate your life. In other countries, not so much. And that's why we're extremely fortunate if we live here. Just if you have a US passport, it already solves so many like big life problems. And I think that most Americans don't even realize that. So, you know, your standard could be $3,000 of passive income. And you're like, I'm good. Like, I just want to like drive my tractor and, you know, like flower the field and, you know, just like work out. Awesome. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Some of you guys might just want to freaking work out all day. Like, do 3 different workouts and maybe have your gym and, you know, like you'll play with your dogs and you're good.
That is happiness.
And nobody will tell you that that's wrong. And nobody should tell you that it's wrong. And if haters are going to hate, then guess what?
Haters going to hate.
They're going to hate. Naysayers are going to give you shit. That's a reflection of them. Has nothing to do with you. Because as far as I'm concerned, if you have passive income coming in, then you're already winning at life. Because most people don't. Mm-hmm. So, you know, or if you're like, I want to live a big life where I get to travel like luxuriously wherever I want, whenever I want to make a massive impact on people. I want to be able to donate to charity millions of dollars. Then guess what? $3,000 of passive income ain't gonna cut it.
There's also residual income, which means money that you work hard for a period of time and then you work less hard for later on. in my own definition of residual.
Hashtag, that's what X Endurance is for.
Right. So those of you on X Endurance, you know, when people buy things from you or any multi-level marketing company, you know, when people buy things from you and then they continue buying, it still requires work. It's not passive because you're not doing anything. You still have to work for it or generate it at least in the beginning. But eventually then it compounds and you're making a certain amount of money without having to do the same amount of work that was once required to make that same amount of money. So it goes like this: the amount of work you have to do, the amount of money you make. So when you start in a multi-level marketing company, the shit's hard, okay? It's not, oh yeah, well, I'm making $50,000 a month. It's amazing. Yeah, it's possible, but your ass has to hustle for that muscle. So work to earnings ends up going like this if you are persistent and over time you are earning way more than you are working for. That's residual.
I was actually listening to Grant. By the way, any stats that I ever give you is from a reliable source, and it's called Grant Cardone.
Always? 100% of the time?
Not 100% of the time, but most of the time. Sometimes it's Rob Kiyosaki, but I choose to listen to him when it comes to money most. But Grant said that if you're earning $6,000 in residual income from an MLM, you're in the top 10%, which goes to show you. And to build up to $6,000, it requires a lot of work. I would say probably a couple hundred consumers under you. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to need to build up some people as well. Mm-hmm. But like you're in the top 10% of earners in MLM if you make $6,000. So imagine like the real big ballers, like who make $60,000 a month in residual income, like there's far and few in between, which goes to show you like how low people's standards are. And that's why surrounding yourself with people who expect more from you and want more from you is something that each and every one of you needs to strive to. Because if you want to look at the average earner for a multi-level marketing company, they're probably spending more on their products than they're actually earning because they're like, oh, this shit is hard. Getting people is hard.
And that's how it starts, to be honest. Like, I'll tell you, we've been doing it for 2 years with X Endurance. And last month, I think we made $2,000 between the two of us.
Yeah.
Between the two of us.
But 5 years from now, shit.
Oh, yeah. It's been 2 years for us to get to about $1,000 each-ish, give or take. Okay? So, if you can imagine, however, we understand the opportunity because X Endurance is only 2
years old
in the multi-level marketing space.
Yeah.
So the amount of potential that there is for that is wild. And I think I'm literally 3 tiers down from the top of the company. Yeah. So the amount of potential that is there, and for every single one of you who has signed up somewhere on our team, somewhere under Coach Lauren or under Tammy or Ashley or Crystal or whoever, my mom, it doesn't matter, Sarit, you guys have huge potential because you have to recognize you're only about 5 or 6 layers down from the top of the company. But that doesn't guarantee you success. You gotta hustle. You gotta plan to hustle for a while. But it's delayed gratification again. So anyways.
Yeah. So
I think, and you said standards. I think a lot of it is lack of willingness to hustle and put in the hard work.
And I think it's also lack of mentorship.
Yeah.
Lack of mentorship. You gotta have somebody who holds you accountable and gives you a plan and keeps on holding you accountable to a plan. And by the way, you better hope that person is way more like successful in the game than you are, because otherwise then they don't practice what they preach.
You know what's cool about multi-level marketing though is if you were to imagine starting a business to make for yourself like $50,000 a month, okay, if you were to imagine starting an entire business like Sarit and I have, and all of the moving parts and all of the working pieces and all of the expenses and investments that we've had to make in this business to get it even to where it is, when we're not even close, to invest in something like X Endurance or multi-level marketing where you only have to pay $95 a year.
Yeah.
And then the rest of that is sweat equity.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's also say you have to pay for products. You're going to invest in products. You cannot sell something you are not sold on.
Yep.
It's impossible. You'll be useless. So if you don't believe in what you're selling, you will be completely ineffective at selling it, at least long term. So to think that, oh, I could start a business, and I'm grateful for every single one of you who are in this community who are doing that, simply because I worked for X Endurance before they became a multi-level marketing company, like 2 or 3 years before they became a multi-level marketing company. So, and this is not an X Endurance call, so I'm going to get off my soapbox really quick. But if you imagine only having to invest $95 a year and then maybe a couple $100 a month to like try things, that is nothing of an investment compared to what it would be to start an entirely new business with no material, no marketing. X Endurance even has marketing for you. There is shit in the back office that you can pull, download to your phone or your computer, put it on your social media, and it looks professional and amazing. Like, we have to pay for that stuff. You seen our Instagram videos lately? You see all like the new media stuff, the new logos, all of these things. We have to pay a considerable amount of money for, which is fine. I'm happy to do it. But considering that you could start a business for a fraction, a tiny fraction of that is amazing. But you have to be willing
to hustle,
put in the sweat
and
work.
you have to hustle way longer before you're gonna see the fruits of your labor. It's just like being a farmer. Like, you are going to have to work on the land and plant your seeds for a way longer period than the fruits are going to show up. It's just like a tree. The tree, like, you have to plant the tree. You have to make sure that the soil is good. It has to build the roots. And within a couple of years, the tree is going to start like yielding some fruit. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful. But man, there is a long process that leads to that. So remember that. Now, I want to
say, mark my words, like all of you who are signed up somewhere on our team, like my goal within the next 3 years to be making 20 grand a month. And the way that I can do that is by getting y'all to also make money. And that is the beauty of multi-level marketing. People are like, oh, multi-level marketing. It's not the structure that you're mad about. It's snaky, shitty people that you're mad about. And I understand that. But the beauty and the synchronicity is, if I want to succeed, I have to help you succeed. There's no other choice. I have no other choice. I want to get to 20 grand a month. I have to help you get to a certain level also. Otherwise, I have no choice, no chance. Anyways.
So, like we said, when it comes to wealth building, you want to make sure that you're cash flow positive for the most part. So for one, if you're currently in debt, your very first goal is to acquire as much income as you can, because for as long as you're in consumer debt, you're always going to be cash flow negative. And the longer you are in debt, the more interest compounds. So for anybody who is in debt, like rule number one, like you got to get yourself out of consumer debt. Consumer debt is just, unfortunately, it's very prevalent in today's society. It's a byproduct of lack of education and lack of discipline. So there's only one way to do that. Increase your income so you can get out of it faster. Once you get out of that, then step number 2 is make sure that you're cash flow positive by the end of the month. How much? That's up to you, and that's based off of your longer term game plan. No decision in life should ever be made based off of how you feel right now. It should always be based off of how is this going to impact, like, where do I want to be 10, 20, 30 years from now?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Think about right now, if you needed to make an extra $5 today, what would you do? If you need to make an extra $5, just extra $5. If you made an extra $5 a day, oh, my phone
for
is
365
right
days.
For 365 days, what would that be?
Probably like $2,000.
You think you could make an extra $5 somehow? 5 times 3, 6, 5 equals $1,800. It's $1,800. Just make $5 extra a day. But then once you make 5, you're like, oh, maybe I can make 7. And your brain starts getting creative. You gotta understand, like, we are amazing machines. And your brain, like, when you give it an idea, then you just have to surrender and let your brain get creative. How could I make, comment in the comments right now. How do you think you could make an extra $5 today? I bet you there are multiple ideas, and maybe somebody's going to comment something that you didn't think of, and you're like, oh shit, I could do that too. Ooh, maybe I could do both of these things and I could make $10.
Creativity follows commitment. You got to commit. And if you're like, oh, I don't know, then you're not committed. You don't really want to make more money. You just wish that it like fell in your lap.
Yeah. So how could you make an extra $5? And then you start to believe that, right? Like, okay, and then how could I make an extra 10? Ooh, that wasn't as hard as I thought. How could I make an extra 15? And then your brain gets creative, like, oh, I could do more of this, or I could do this more efficiently, or I could sell that, or and you start getting really creative. I want to see what you guys are saying here. How could you make money? Not ask. Oh, I'm gonna guess asking people for money is selling. So great. Ask your partner. Do a haircut. It would be more than $5. Okay, great. Sell an item I no longer need. Great. Rake leaves. Great. Take my scrap metal chain link fence to a scrapyard. Shit.
By the way, what do all these have in common? Do you know where I'm going with that?
I think it requires effort.
It requires effort.
It all requires effort.
Which goes to show that it's all possible.
Work overtime.
It's all possible, but you have to also be willing to accept the fact that it's going to require you to take more action. And, you know, based off of how you want to increase the increments, like focus on a number first, be consistent with that, and then like incrementally expand it. And so, you know, like we said, for the most part, you want to be cash flow positive. And the reason why I said for the most part is because, and we had an entire conversation about debt. In the case that you didn't listen to it, you can find it on our YouTube channel. By the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, then do us a favor and show us some love and just hit the subscribe button.
Subscribble.
So that you can get notified every time we drop a brand new episode. But not all debt is created equal. Some debt can be used for leverage. So for example, if you're using debt to buy real estate, though that is way later in the game, if you're just learning what cash flow is, don't you dare go buy real estate, because you probably don't know the game. If you don't know like what cash flow terminology is, then real estate terminology is, it requires...
We're still learning it. We're still learning it.
Right. And
I refuse to do a deal that I don't know everything about.
Right. Right. You have to understand the language. So not all debt is created equal, but if you use debt to create an investment that's guaranteed to cash flow, there's a lot that goes into it to calculate whether, you know, an apartment building or a commercial real estate, whatever, is going to generate cash flow.
On the worst of circumstances.
Yes. There's so much that goes into it. But if that is the case, then debt is good, because it's going to come back.
Because the debt's being paid off by other people's money.
Yeah.
And you're just leveraging it because you have all of the equity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, this is not a conversation on...
This is not a conversation with regards to that. But the point is that don't be so stuck like in a rule that it's like, okay, if I'm not like cash flow positive by the end of the month, then like I'm screwed. Like when it comes to success in life, you have to be disciplined with regards to rules, but you have to also like see opportunities when they come at you. Should you have the knowledge and the expertise to take action with regards to an opportunity. Like with us, for example, we've had multiple opportunities the last couple months to invest more in our business. Our cash flow is not nearly this month as it was 2 months ago, but guess what? We have a calculated plan because we know how to play the game, and we know that it's going to come back tenfold. So again, whatever decision you end up making, always think about the long-term plan. If you're in consumer debt, then that shit builds interest. It's nasty. Like, you need to get yourself out of that. But, you know, like, don't be so stuck in the, oh my gosh, if I'm not cash flow positive, then I'm not on the right path. That is not the case. You have to be intentional with regards to the long-term plan, but flexible about the approach in some cases.
I want to say a couple things.
Yeah.
Going back to the how can I make an extra $5? I want to say two things. For one, now think about how could I make an extra $5 without selling something I already own, or without doing more of what I already do. What new way can you find to make an extra $5? And the other thing that I want to say is, if you think $5 doesn't make a difference, you already failed.
Yeah. Because you don't understand the concept of the compound
I
effect.
want to do a make mo money challenge. Make mo money challenge. Where it's like, okay, day 1, your task is to earn an extra $1. Day 2, your task is to earn an extra $2. Maybe it'll be 20 days. I don't know. By day 20, you got to make an extra $20. But guess what? What is that? 20 plus 19 plus 18 plus 17 plus 16 plus 15 plus 14 plus 13 plus 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. How much money is that?
I'm adding it up.
Plus 17 plus 16 plus 15 plus 14 plus 13 plus 12 plus 11 plus 10 plus 9, 8 plus 7 plus 6 plus 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's an extra $210 in 20 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Who thinks it's doable?
Only if you're committed. Only the committed ones.
Yeah. Anyways, so I wanted to say, like, the goal of that is to get creative. If you already have a job, you're like, oh, I could work more hours, or I could do overtime, or I could do an extra haircut, or I could do, sorry, I could sell an extra car. I don't know, whatever. And then if you have stuff, you're like, I can sell this and this and that. Eventually, you're going to run out of shit to sell, right? So how can you find a different way to make more money, not doing what you already do or having what you already have?
Mm-hmm. So, remember this. Takeaways from today. In order to build wealth, you have to be cash flow positive by the end of the month. In order to build wealth, you have to have a purpose and you have to have a plan. Otherwise, you're not going to be disciplined to follow through with it, because this is a long-term game. You have to rack up savings, a subsequent amount, like 10,000.
Subsequent? What is a subsequent?
What's the word that I'm looking
Sufficient?
for? Sufficient amount, like 10,000.
Significant?
$10,000 definitely ain't enough. We're talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
You could invest. There are plenty of ways to invest with no money down. But also, you got to know how to play the game.
Yeah.
It's easier to make more money when you have money, but you can make money without having a lot of money.
Yep. All right, folks. Well, that does it for today. Do you have anything else to add?
Oh.
This is day 3 of the X Endurance in Motion Challenge. Why are we doing this? Because, well, we want to build a more disciplined community. Because when you're more disciplined in life, whatever it is that you're working on, be it finishing your degree, be it getting a raise in your job, be it losing a couple extra pounds, be it more confident, discipline is going to help you with all of that and more. And if you can stick to one thing for 21 days, 20 minutes of movement, I didn't even say hard workout, then you're going to struggle when it comes to anything in life, because nothing that you want in life will be achieved within 21 days unless it's a shiny object that you buy from Amazon. By the way, that will depreciate in value if you buy something off of Amazon, just saying. Because if you were to sell it later on, you're not going to sell it for the same amount. It's going to have to be way less. So it depreciates. Anything that's worth it, that you want to appreciate in your lifetime, requires work and will not happen overnight. It's a daily act.
I love the word appreciation for so many reasons.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well,
I believe that's it for today.
We hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you found any value from today's episode, do us a favor and please hit the subscribe button,
hit the share button,
rate our show so that we know how we're doing. We're all about self-improvement for ourselves as well. For anybody who has specific questions with regard for finances, I said it last week, feel free to email admin@improveyournutrition.com and ask your question, and I'll be happy to answer your question with regards to that and maybe give you guidance, simply because I believe in you guys, and I believe that in order for you to, you know, be able to achieve something significant, we all need help. How do I know that? Because us ourselves are getting help from a few people with regards to that, who are way more advanced in the game than we are.
Mm-hmm. Nobody is better or worse than. It's just how far along in the game are you, and how open-minded are you to change, transform, and put in the hard work.
And how committed you are. Exactly.
All right, guys.
That being said, we will see you tomorrow. Relationship Conversations.
Okay, amazing. Thanks for being here. Have yourself an amazing day. Do not be average. Refuse to be average. And go find a way to make an extra $5. We see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye, guys.